One of the most important things when doing acrylic nails is making sure your product is working correctly. So that means when you pick up your acrylic using your brush and monomer, there should be no lumps or clumps or any kind of sandy texture on your bead before you place it onto your nail. If you do, it could be dry, you might get some separation lines, especially if you're using a colored acrylic. Here you see that I'm working the product down to the tip of the nail, making sure my sidewall stays straight because that's going to save me time when I go to file it later. If that shape stays crisp, it'll be crisp. So here you see me cleaning off my brush. In between each movement, make sure your brush is clean. That's the reason that you're having so much trouble. If there is buildup product in your brush, it's not going to allow you to use the brush in the way it was intended because it has gunk in it. If you see here, I'm moving up. It's a little bit smaller of a bead, but it's more wet. And that's so that the joint between the old bead that I had already placed and moved to the tip and this new bead is seamless. Everything will stay, and this will prevent lifting. I'm going down with my wet brush. It's already been cleaned in between each movement. In between each movement, that is so important. I'm going to keep smoothing it, making sure my top layer is nice and even. Towards my cuticle, I do like to use a slightly wetter bead just so that it doesn't flood, but it spreads evenly enough that I can have it as flat as possible, and it'll prevent lifting. All of this, your application, every step, you should be trying to prevent lifting and maintain your shape. So here you see I'm adding a little bit more acrylic to my stress point. Not all nails lengths will need a stress point, emphasis, but this one does. If they're any longer than this, your apex should be even bigger because you want to make sure that if they jam their nail or if they snag it on something, it's not going to pop, it's not going to rip their nail off. You want to make sure you have strength in your structure, not just pretty. Wherever you see that there can be some more leveling done as far as adding a bead, go ahead and do that because you want to make sure that your application is doing most of the shaping, most of the filing. I don't have to go back in later and go crazy filing this top layer if it's already leveled. And it can be leveled if I add a little bit more acrylic. So that's what I'm doing. Make sure it's not too thick though. So whenever you're going in with your first couple layers, you can make sure it's perfect, or you can do this. Go back in and make sure it's crisp.